At least 310 people have been detained across France as the embattled government faces backlash for forcing through pension reforms that will see the country's retirement age raised by 2 years. Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin told French radio RTL that most of the arrests made on Thursday night, 258, were in Paris. Although calm had returned to the capital's streets by Friday morning, government ministers were on the defensive following Thursday night's impromptu protests. The French government on Thursday forced through controversial plans to raise the country's retirement age from 62 to 64, a move that has inflamed the country's weeks-long protest movement. Government spokesperson Olivier Véran and Budget Minister Gabriel Attal both repeated President Emmanuel Macron's claim that the government hadn't wanted to use its constitutional power to push through the law. They were speaking to French outlets, LCI and France Inter respectively. If we don't do the reforms today, it's much more brutal measures that we will have to do in future, Attal said. Protesters briefly blocked Paris Ring Road on Friday morning in protest at the pension reform, causing long delays to the morning commute, according to sources. And a strike by garbage workers that has left many streets in Paris full of trash bags is continuing. Interior Minister Darmanin said he would order police to force some of them to work. I respect the strike of the garbage collectors, he said. However, what is not acceptable is unsanitary conditions. In a note Thursday night, the Interior Ministry, in the context of the reaction to the pension reforms, called on security forces to firmly maintain protections for elected officials in France, who are sometimes the object of threats, insults, or even malicious acts such as damage to property. Prime Minister Elisabeth Borne announced in the National Assembly earlier Thursday that Macron would trigger special constitutional powers to enact the proposed pension reform bill. We cannot bet on the future of our pensions, Borne said amid jeers and chants from lawmakers. This reform is necessary. Labour leaders in France called for new demonstrations following Borne's announcement, with several thousand people converging at Paris Place de la Concorde and in several other cities in France on Thursday evening. By resorting to Constitutional Article 49.3, the government demonstrates that it does not have a majority to approve the 2-year postponement of the legal retirement age, tweeted Laurent Berger, head of the CFDT, one of the unions leading the protests. Philippe Martinez, head of the CGT trade union, also called for more strikes and protests, according to CNN affiliate BFM TV. Massive protests have been held regularly throughout France since mid-January, with millions turning out to voice their opposition to the government's plan. Mass strikes have hit transport and education. The government has argued that reform is necessary to keep the pension system's finances out of the red in the coming years. The aim is to balance the accounts without raising taxes or cutting pensions. Various options are on the table, but all include raising the retirement age, government spokesman Olivier Véran told journalists in January, according to sources.